Today we're making smoked baked beans. I'm really excited about this recipe because it's kind of a staple of barbecue to have baked beans. I also love this recipe because just like any recipe I'll put on YouTube, it's a standard baseline for you to build off of. The recipe that I make is a little sweeter than some people would like, but that's because I like my beans being a little sweeter than most people like. If you like them spicy and want to kick, add a ton of jalapenos. If you want them to be a little bit more hearty, add some brisket from a previous smoke or tri-tip. Whatever it is you want to add, you can really customize it, but this will be a starting point for you to then make it to be something that matches with what you love. Baked beans are an opportunity for you to express yourself through barbecue. Basically, all you need is beans, and even that is variable. I'm using Great Northern beans. You can use navy beans. You can use pinto beans if you want. You can try kidney beans. You can try whatever beans you find on the shelf. Try them because they all yield a little bit of a different flavor, texture, and all those kinds of things. Or even consider mixing them. I like the Great Northern beans. They're larger. They have a little bit of a flavor to them that's kind of unique. And so that's where I'm starting. And then the next ingredient is also extremely subjective. I'm a fan of Cook Shack's barbecue sauce, and so that's what I'm going to use. I like it because it's got a real nice flavor, just kind of across the board. But then there's just a touch of heat towards the back end, especially after it's smoked for a while, or even if you cook it on the stove. So the next ingredient is 2 cups of sauce, some sort of sauce. At one point, I was working on making a gluten-free baked beans for my wife, and so I went with Stubbs because they were gluten-free and I like their flavor as well. Gives you a totally different end result, but still really good. I know a lot of people, especially if you're watching barbecue videos on YouTube, you're probably dabbling in making your own barbecue sauce. Well, 2 cups of whatever you've made then in this recipe to give it a flavor that you like. Now, these two, the 1 cup of brown sugar and the 2 tablespoons of yellow mustard, those are because we like our beans sweet. Now, not everybody's going to like that. So you can omit that if you don't like it. Beans and barbecue sauce really is sufficient for a very standard base level barbecue baked beans. The other options, obviously bacon again. I keep bringing it up because it's still a good option everywhere you turn. Brown sugar obviously is something we're using. You can use molasses, jalapenos or chilies, brisket, tri-tip, you even throw in pulled pork. Why not? I mean, so the spectrum is wide open in terms of what it is that you put in your beans. So here's the brown sugar for me, and then I'll put in the yellow mustard. The yellow mustard is kind of has a funny job for me. If you just put in that much sugar, it's really sweet. What the mustard ends up doing is it kind of offsets that a little bit with a little tart. And so I feel like even though it's not a lot, it's really what takes this from being a ridiculously over-the-top sweet bean to now a nice, balanced recipe. So then what you do is you stir it all up. You'll notice I'm in a half chafing tray here. I really like the fact that I can either store the beans in it. If I'm having company over, just set over the chafing tray or set it out on the counter and they can just serve themselves from it. So I'll just put this, once it's stirred and kind of looks like it's nicely mixed, I'll just put this straight in the smoker. Again, this is going to be kind of a variable temperature thing. If you're doing a chicken at 250, I would say put the beans in at 250 for 2 hours. If you're doing something that requires 225, 230, whatever temperature you like smoking most things at, just put the beans in and let them smoke at that temperature for about 2 hours. It seems to work well any way you slice it. I use hickory for this, but you can use whatever you want. And that's really all there is to it. So now you have, this is 4 cans of 15 ounce, which is this size. If you're looking for something that's a little bit more just for your family, not a silly amount of leftovers, I would say look for one of those either quarter chafing trays, or I guess it's almost like a loaf pan, and you can do 2 of these, basically half the recipe, and that'll fit in a smaller container, and then put it in the smoker. So we'll check it out in 2 hours and see what it looks like. All right, it's been about 2 hours, so we're going to check out the smoked baked beans to see how they look. All right. They look great. Typically the way that I tell that they're done is around the edges you'll see a little bit of, it looks like a film, almost like you have a soup and you leave it out for a while. That is exactly what you want. And so what I'll do is once we'll take these inside and then we'll stir it all up and it'll have a real even look in terms of color and everything. One thing that you'll notice, my hand is on the bottom. I've tried holding this from the sides before, and what happens is because it's really liquidy, it'll dip a lot, and sometimes these trays can fold in on themselves. And so I would suggest either, like I have barbecue gloves, or if you have a pot holder or something, it's important to make sure you have something on the bottom so that it keeps it from kind of buckling under the weight of the liquid that's in there. So let's go inside and check them out. So here are the beans out of the smoker. Really the only step that's left to do is just stir it up. You can see that mixing it up, when you're doing it, mixing it up helps that kind of film get reintroduced to the rest of it. And yeah, it looks real good and it smells real good. So that's pretty much all there is to it. It's pretty straightforward and easy way to make baked beans with the bean type that you want. If the beans are too firm for you, you can either soak them. You can, if you do dry beans, soak them overnight. You can also leave them in the smoker a little bit longer if you feel like they're not where you want them to be. So that's one of those things where the different bean types tend to respond differently. So experimenting with what you like best flavor-wise, and then also hone in the best approach for you. Yeah, that's it.